sometimes there are challenges that I face. Maybe things are not working well. I'm having a very bad day, very, very bad week. Or sometimes, there are conflicts with your colleagues or, your expectations. This happen, this happen in every company, especially in startups wherein, again, like I said, you don't know what you're working on exactly. You have to figure it out. So coaching in a way, it really helped me, just talk to myself. I even got coached quite a few times. So I think I learned a lot more about myself.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our webinar today on the impact of coaching. As you all are joining in, please feel free to use the chat box to share with us where you're joining in from. I'm Kiva from Coacharya, and it's, like always, lovely to have you all here with us. Before we get started, I'd like to just take a minute to share with you all a little about the series that we started this year. So many alums at Coacharya, and all of our alums are doing incredible work in the space of coaching, or in a space where they are and are utilizing coaching in a way that's helping them to create the kind of impact that they want to create. So we said, why not bring these alums and their stories to this space to celebrate them and to share with you all the impact that they are creating through coaching. And today we have with us a very special guest. We have with us Manoj Kambadur. Welcome, Manoj. How are you doing?
Hey, hi Kiva. I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time out and for joining in. I think many of you might know Manoj, and for you, for those of you who are meeting him for the first time here, I'd like to just share a little about Manoj, and then also welcome you all to ask questions and thoughts that you might have. So Manoj is the co-founder of Stoa. He's previously worked at Swiggy and Deloitte, and he's a career coach. He's our alum. He's done his coaching through with Revan in the Ontology Coaching Foundation course with us. So before we get started, Manoj, could you share a little about yourself for our participants today to know more about you?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kiva. Hey everyone, my name is Manoj. I am born and brought up in Hyderabad, India. After my schooling, I pretty much lived outside for most of the time. I went to a university called Pitani, which is in the middle of a desert in India. So made many good friends there and learned value of people and not the place for luxuries. Gradually, professionally, I worked in consulting. I worked at a couple of venture capital firms in India and US, and one for a Japanese firm. And then also dabbled my feet into startups. So I was part of Swiggy when it was very, very new. It was very small. And for the last 3 years, I've been working in the education field. And in between, I did completed my formal MBA degree in the US at University of Texas, Austin. I ended up joining the Coacharya program, and it had a nice impact on my life.
Amazing! Wow, a lot of different things, and then you decided to start your coaching journey with us. I think we'll get into that in just a little while. But I think our participants today would be curious to know from you about the Stoa program. We know that Stoa is this unique MBA program that you've co-founded. Could you share a little with us about the program?
Yeah, sure. So Stoa, I think, is a very unique program in the market. We've been around for about 2.5 years. What we notice is there is a huge gap in the MBA market, right? Usually an MBA program takes somebody about 3 years, right? 1 year to prepare, write exams, write those applications and wait for the results, and then 2 years of the opportunity cost of actually quitting your job. And then if you look at the market, many of them, even after this long program, they don't end up in jobs which pay more than 12 lakhs, for example, which is not a very high amount, especially if you're leaving a job for 2-3 years, right? So, and secondly, we also realize many people don't have to quit their jobs just to upskill. There is a way to upskill yourself. That was my situation. I was a part of Swiggy. It was growing very crazily. But because of the FOMO of doing a formal higher education kind of drove me to leave the job and go. But looking back, I don't know, maybe that was not the smartest decision, but it is what it is. Lastly, MBA programs are relevant for those who want to get into corporate jobs, like mid-level jobs. I think they do serve a purpose. But there are many folks, including one of my other co-founders, right, who went to IIM Bangalore. So Aditya, like he's someone who's been a serial entrepreneur for the last 10 years. So, like MBA also, there's also opportunity cost there. So yeah, I think that is what really drove us, right? The fact that business education, to really upskill and to to get a hang of amazing business education, you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to really spend 2-3 years. And also in MBA, what happens is most of the faculty comes from research. They have done some great research in their life, but of course you need to be more updated in terms of what's happening in the world of business, right? So things keep getting outdated every few years. So that's why we actually get industry operators from a lot of unicorn startups like Swiggy, Razorpay, Cred, from large companies like Amazon, from consulting firms like BCG, McKinsey, and also a lot of other from other places. So that way, our learners are able to learn from the best industry operators from the respective fields. So this gives them, very like a first-hand opportunity to understand how the latest cases are solved, and also, have like close room interactions with these industry experts with whom otherwise you wouldn't have the chance to really speak to them.
Absolutely. Wow, that sounds really, really interesting. And as you were speaking, I was actually thinking about even schooling and let's say my own education, where I don't know how much of what I actually studied came to use directly at work, right? There were other skills that one had to pick up, and then you learn things on the job. But this is very, very refreshing to hear about, Manoj. And could you share with us a little about what are, let's say, a specific, like you mentioned, there are industry experts that come into this program to support the children. In what way have you designed this entire course that makes it completely relevant to anybody who then wants to get started with a career in, let's say, the business space?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. Also, these are not children; these are working professionals. They're mostly in their early and mid 20s. So yeah, many people, right? Many young professionals today, they keep reading some news saying, "Hey, this company Cred is doing something fancy," or I want to get into a product management job. I want to get into founder's office job. I want to get into certain jobs. They don't know like what that even means, to be honest.
Right.
There's only so much you can learn by looking at YouTube videos and reading stuff online. You have to really do a lot more homework to understand the nitty-gritties. So I think here they get a chance to meet a lot of peers from different companies, different industries. And so those interactions also, they get a very good reality check in terms of whether what they thought they're interested in or the passion about is actually realistic or not, or maybe sometimes they really find what is relevant for them. So this also plays a huge role in terms of the design itself. I think again, like I said, in formal institutions, let's say you're learning something for 5 months, right? A lot of time is also spent purely on research stuff. And like I said, when things are changing fast, you need to be more updated in terms of picking up cases and concepts and not the research stuff. So that way, we've designed more of doing, I would say, like you're doing many more assignments as such, and discussing a lot of different cases. So that way, you're building, wider perspectives in a short period of time.
It actually sounds very, very interesting. And I think when people have the exposure to different kinds of scenarios and they are on, like you said, they're doing things and they're learning while doing, by doing in a way. So I think it just enhances the learning, because you also pick up certain skills that you otherwise wouldn't be able to actually pick up just through reading or through the knowledge piece of it. So very interesting, Manoj. And I want to know, just curious to know, while you were setting up Stoa, what were some challenges that came your way? I know it sounds really good and the program sounds really great, but I think anything that you get started with comes with its share of challenges. So if you could share a little.
Yeah, right. I think anything you start has its own share of challenges. So I think we've had a few, but I think it's normal to have. I think some of the challenges were that our team has been fully remote for the first 18 months of operations, right? So I think when as co-founders, we didn't meet for the first few months. So in a way, like we knew each other online. So Aditya and I were batchmates back in college. So there was some acquaintance of sorts, but we didn't really meet for 18 months. So building a team, building a program, building a brand name, being fully remote was something that we never really anticipated, but it worked well. And gradually, I think the world also kept changing, right? We started in the middle of the pandemic. So I think as a program, we kept on evolving. I was still staying relevant. So that's something we're pretty proud about, right? Like, because like quite a few, you've been reading the news that tech companies have gone, have had certain different, more difficulties. So I think that's something that we've been able to manage that. In general, yeah, there are a lot of other challenges in building a company, scaling a company. But yeah, I think these are some of the challenges, I would say.
Right. I'm really curious to know about your interest in coaching and where that came in, and how did you find us and start your coaching journey?
Yeah, that's a very interesting journey. I never thought I'll be a coach as such. Maybe I'll be a football coach one day for kids or something, but I never thought I'd be like a life coach or a career coach. I think when we started Stoa, one of the co-founders, brought in the concept of coaching. I was not aware about it, and the learners really liked it. Some of them they found great value. Then we also, but all these are very confidential sessions, so we don't know what is even happening here. But people like it. And then I used to work, with our learners in their career transitions. And I used to ask a lot of questions. So co-founder Aditya joked that, I like to ask questions, so maybe I should become a coach. And then but I just thought this was a joke, on me. And gradually, then we thought, no, you know what, maybe we should have more coaches in the program to help our learners. And, obviously, but yeah, just to understand the impact of coaching better. Again, we kind of had this discussion casually, and I thought, you know what, okay, I'll give it a try. And then I went on a crazy research. I do a lot of research in general on things. So I did quite a bit of research. I think I spoke to maybe 6 different institutions. And I spoke to some trainers directly. I spoke to some of the program managers to understand the program design, all these things. Coacharya was among the last entities I actually came to hear, but I had a very good impression the way. And once I filled up a form, somebody called me promptly, and they answered my questions, and then they're able to help me speak to one of the alumni. And this gentleman, alumni Ranjit Bedi, I was quite impressed. I mean, with his profile and his ability. So that gave me a lot of validation that someone like him went through Coacharya. Then there's something valuable here. And also the program design, I was very happy. Like I myself designed programs, so I really like the Coacharya's program design of for like 20 weeks, wherein I had a good chance to really practice in between. The support system was pretty good. So yeah, that was my journey. I took some time to join the program. I took like a month and a half to decide, but I think it's been quite rewarding, with my trainer Drevan, Tracy, and many of the other coaches who've taught me a lot, honestly.
So good to know about this, and good to know that after so much research, you finally decided to join Coacharya, and there was alignment with respect to how you probably see program design. So thank you, May, for sharing here. Yes, thanks for that link. For our participants, do click on that and to see the wonderful work that Manoj and his team are doing at Stoa. Manoj, you mentioned a while back that coaching as a practice is certain concepts that you've brought into the Stoa program as well. Could you share a little about that? Like, how have you seen that play out?
Yeah, so like I said, many of our learners are young working professionals. So you have to keep in mind, for them, this is the first time they ever heard about coaching. Maybe for them, coaching has been IIT JEE coaching or cricket or football coaching of sorts. So yeah, I think educating about coaching itself was a bit of a challenge, but I think we managed to figure out how to educate folks. But I think some of the ways that people have learned to use coaching is really discuss, a mix of personal and professional stuff. I mean, this is based on the feedback that I've gained from my learners. Some of the personal stuff they discuss is around time management, right? Like youngsters want to do this, that, everything under the sun, but time is something which is limited. So time management, things like changing habits, things on maybe relationships, like some issues with with anybody in their life. Professionally also, they have they have them dilemmas in terms of hey, I want to start up, have my own company. I don't want to work for anyone. Again, it's not about how you build a startup, but it's more about, should I do this? What does it take mentally for me to break the barrier of going and starting up. Or now I want to switch careers. I want to switch geographies. So there are a mix of personal and professional stuff that people have been able to discuss. I think one of the biggest takeaways is for youngsters, right? I think what we need to keep in mind is until that point in time, they never had anybody to talk to like this. I think few people are lucky to have maybe like a parent or a uncle, aunt, or a cousin or a sibling or a best friend to speak to. But even they are not trained coaches or trained professionals to help them navigate it. Right? Invariably, people end up giving some kind of free advice, but they never had a person who's going to sit and unconditionally listen to them for an hour or so, and help them navigate through their challenges. So I think that I think is a huge value addition for them.
Like you said, at times people, a friend or a mentor can probably hear you out and maybe share what they think. But I think a skilled, a trained coach with the expertise and the knowledge and the skills that they have, they create a different kind of a space that, helps let's say in your case, maybe the students to empower themselves to find solutions that probably they're looking for the problems that they face. I think we have a question here on the chat box as well. If you could take this up. Mahima is asking, for someone who doesn't have an experience in coaching, how does a person prepare themselves for a career?
For a career sorry, can I get the full question there?
Mahima, could you add for a career is there something specifically you're looking for? Or like a generic career? For someone who doesn't have an experience in coaching. Yeah, for a coaching career. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that applies to many folks, right? I think even at Coacharya and a lot of other institutions, right? Like, I think, in this case, I think one of the fundamental rules I feel for any program in general, whichever program it is in the world, is do you want to take it up? Like are you aware about why you want to sign up for this, why you want to become a coach? What do you want to do after this coaching program? I think for some people it might be that you want to become like a full-time professional coach. But I think also I know many folks, many coaches, they've taken the program, just to be better, be a better person, be a better manager, be a better leader or a better family member. So yeah, I think the point is why do you want to become a coach, right? And I'm sure if as long as you are aligned, your expectations are aligned with the program, I'm sure it will be helpful. But what I've seen is in general, coaching also helps you personally. I think coaches become more self-aware. I was reading this somewhere on LinkedIn. I think one of the coaches wrote, first as a coach you need to be self-aware before you kind of coach others. So it really it does help you, I feel.
And I think on a lighter note, like if you are somebody who really enjoys questioning a lot, like Manoj, that could be like a cue. So, Manoj, share a little about how your program brings in this coaching lens for the students. So I want to know from you on what are some coaching practices that you actually applied while you were on this journey, and like the kind of challenges that probably came in, or the approach you wanted to take. What are some of the practices that helped you?
Yeah, I think coaching has definitely helped me in the last 2 years or so. Ever since I joined the program, even personally also, right? Like I would say help both personally and professionally. But I think maybe stick to the professional aspects more based on the question. See, many times, like I'm a first-time founder, so there are many times I'm in uncharted areas, right? And like I don't have the answers. So it's just about being aware that I don't have the answers. It's being aware that there are many people who've been in the situation before, but they've kind of passed through. So yeah, I think it's a lot about self-awareness there, I would say. I think there is a core. Secondly, a lot of times there are challenges that I face. Maybe things are not working well. I'm having a very bad day, very, very bad week. Or sometimes, there are conflicts with maybe, your colleagues or, your expectations. This happened, this happened in every company, especially in startups wherein, again, like I said, you don't know what you're working on exactly. You have to figure it out. So coaching in a way, it really helped me, just talk to myself. I even got coached quite a few times. So I think I learned a lot more about myself. So for example, a few things I learned is, I think in one session I learned that maybe my style of working is different from the other person's style. Now this I already knew. This is not a revelation. But I think in the coaching sessions or even as I'm becoming a coach, I realize now how do I deal with those situations, right? So it's about that. In other situations, it's also about maybe everyone has certain limiting beliefs, right? I certainly have mine. I think after becoming a coach, I was able to challenge my own limiting beliefs. So I think after I become a coach, I don't know, maybe my trainer will be a better judge of this, but I think I'm able to even self-coach in certain situations, maybe not always, but in certain situations, self-coach myself. And this also really helps me no matter what the situation is.
I think I could associate with a lot of things that you were saying about self-awareness and even self-coaching yourself, because I think you somehow, with that self-awareness that comes in, you kind of can identify the patterns in which you probably begin to think in general situations, right? And then I think you know how to course correct faster or like in a particular way. So wonderful. We also have another question from Mahima. Larger OEMs and MNCs have their own training programs for their leadership personnel. Will Stoa also have similar programs?
Leadership personnel. Yeah, I mean, right now we do have certain senior folks because they're also taking a lot of value from the program. Yeah, we've had quite a few of these. I think we do plan to launch more programs in the future. But I think specific Mahima, maybe I can just take it offline, just to cater to this question, if you're okay with it.
Sure, sounds great. So with your experiences with the Stoa MBA program, Manoj, like what is a larger ecosystem impact that you are beginning to now see through coaching?
Yeah, so I think for many folks, like I said, they haven't had anyone to talk to before. But I think coaching, what's happening, I was also listening to a podcast recently on the startup ecosystem, and they also really mentioned many hiring managers, when they're looking to hire senior leaders, right? Sure, they can hire based on their profile, kind of work ethics they have, but also they're also looking for leaders. Now, because leading by coaching is like a popular phrase these days, right? Especially when you have to, manage your younger generation. You can't have the old stick or the old approach of like showing a stick every time. So the ability to coach people, to manage people effectively, I think is also a skill. So that way, I think there is a lot of value for mid to senior level professionals even in startup space. That is where I work largely. I'm more proficient there. There's a huge value add, and for younger folks also. Everyone deals with all sorts of issues now. I think the good news is aspects around mental health are a lot more commonly spoken about. They're a lot more accepted, today, even compared to 5 years ago, right? Honestly. So that way, for younger folks to, again, for many of them, going to therapy becomes like a taboo. It may also be a lot more expensive, or I don't know, pricing aside. I think just from an impact point of view, coaching might seem slightly more warmer for them, right? This is like soft therapy in a way. I don't know if it's right for me to say that, but I think for all practical purposes, it is like soft therapy. So that way they're able to even just tell people that, hey, I'm talking to a coach. It sounds very, it has a more positive spin than, I'm talking to a therapist, I'm kind of depressed. So that way, I think it really helps different kinds of people. But again, as a rule, as the only rule in coaching goes, you want to be coached, right? As long as you have the mindset that you want to get coached, you want to talk to somebody about what you're going through. I think the rest, the impact will happen on its own.
We have another comment here saying, yes, mid to C-level personnel definitely need to be able to coach their team members. Certainly. And I think a lot of the times, like you said, a lot of times the role of the manager sometimes becomes more of managing, which I think is the lens that it has become, right? But when you adopt that coaching lens or like operate with that coaching mindset, you open this whole new space for you to view your team member as more than a team member and more as a person. So it's very interesting. And you spoke about mental health as well, Manoj, and the kind of support that kind of comes in from through coaching. I read in one of your posts, I think a while back on LinkedIn about imposter syndrome, and I think you mentioned that word somewhere. Do you want to share a little about just with so many accomplishments that you've had, and like being a co-founder yourself, a coach, and all the other things that you've accomplished? Where do you see that come in, and if coaching in any way is helping you with that?
Yeah, honestly, I think this comes up quite often to me. The self-doubt, imposter syndrome, whatever people call it. And honestly, even recently, I've had a few conversations with an old school friend, with an old college friend, and somebody else who's a very smart young chap. And I think all of them had the similar issues, although I think all of them are doing fairly well in life. But I think my take on this, I've thought about it a lot in the past, is I think there are two different ways of looking at imposter syndrome. One is maybe somebody did not, is maybe really an imposter, you haven't achieved much in life. I think that kind of a mindset also, keeps me grounded and, we're very pragmatic in terms of always, doing better and striving for better. So I think that's always there. Especially again, today's world, things keep changing every few years. So I think it's good to have that mindset, having a growth mindset and always learning. But I think the biggest issue in imposter syndrome is honestly more based on expectations, based on the external expectations. This can come from your family or your friends, right? Like parents, especially in India. You can look at your neighbors and look at your cousin, who are doing much better. I think this is a never-ending thing. And also you look at some of your friends or your peers. Now, maybe I'm in my 30s, and obviously I have some certain friends who've done incredibly well in life already, right? So you always feel, hey, I'll probably never reach that level, but I think it's completely fine, right? So I think, and also I've also gotten coached on this, maybe a couple of times or more, just becoming more self-aware about, why I have this kind of a feeling. And I think I've come to a realization that, yeah, I mean, pretty much all of us have our own career paths, career goals. Just have to keep moving forward. And yeah, I mean, comparing with each other, I don't know, it won't serve too much purpose, beyond a point. So I think it's good to, I actually feel it's good to have this kind of feeling sometimes, just to keep yourself updated in life. But at the same time, you have to have your own goals and, and yeah, just be positive and as long as you keep doing your stuff, you'll kind of reach a good place.
And you mentioned that you touched upon it, let's say, through coaching sessions, and it kind of helped you to bring in that awareness. What do you think is the difference, Manoj, that comes in? Because I think intellectually people do always kind of know it somewhere, right? But like, what is it that happens differently that in a coaching session that kind of gets to that level of acceptance?
Yeah, I mean, I think just a disclaimer, I think everyone's coaching sessions would be different, right? Obviously, based on what they want to discuss and based on the coach's style. But I think, I mean, you have this cliche, right? Tip of the iceberg. So the feeling that, what, I have imposter syndrome or, I don't feel good about something is a tip of the iceberg. I think a coaching session literally takes you to the bottom of the iceberg and then on your way up. So that way you're able to really touch upon a lot of the inner inhibitions or your internal triggers, and so I think that's what happens in a coaching session in a nutshell. Now the exact specifics depend on what you want to talk and the coach.
So a question that's been on my mind is, I think I didn't even ask you this in the first session, and when we met to discuss the webinar the first time, was why Stoa? What does Stoa mean? Like, where's the name come from? If you could share a little.
Yeah, sure. I think the other team members were involved in this, so the credit goes to them. So Stoa, it's based on a Greek center of learning. Like you heard of the term Stoicism. So it's based on that. Like, so Stoa is like a center of learning. People just come together and learn. And yeah, so I think, yeah, that's pretty much what it means.
So Manoj, if you had to zoom out, like with the experiences you've been having with Stoa, with the kind of learners who've come in, with the coaching lens that you've brought in, how do you think Stoa is in many ways redefining education and in a way, the way employment can be looked at and the way people begin to function within teams and companies as a result of all of that?
Yeah, I think that's a great insight, what you pulled out. I've already spoken about the fact that you're learning on the latest business cases and and from industry operators. So I already mentioned about that. But I think if you really go deep into what a learner goes through in the program, right, you're also working with your peers, people from different companies, different backgrounds on solving problems. So you're learning those perspectives. And usually, I think everyone at some point in time, you have an issue working with a teammate, correct? So we will tell you in advance that you will have issues working in teams. Now just to deal with it, right? So that way we give them exposure to work on a very complex problems in a short period of time with people with whom they kind of disagree. And secondly, also certain people. Now, the point about coaching, right? Now, if you look at companies, most managers are basically well-performing individual contributors who get promoted. That even happens to people in their young 20s. It happens quite often. So I think through coaching experience, let's say through Stoa, dealing with complex, uncertain problems, dealing with all sorts of people, they're able to become a better manager. Now, see, once if I'm a manager and I tell a bunch of people under me that, no, hey, listen, you have to do this, they will do this because they are told, right? The manager told them. But in Stoa, when you're working in teams, you're all peers. There's no hierarchy there. So you need to really lead through persuasion. Like that is not easy. And not many get the opportunity to practice in real life. So yeah.
That's really insightful, actually. I'm just trying to go back to work and the dynamics that kind of play out, right? Like in a typical setting, you think that when you're in power is when you will be able to take certain decisions and create the kind of change you want, right? Because individuals don't really operate within their role now. They operate as individuals contributing towards a larger vision or like a larger team goal. So I think the dynamic shift that happens as a result of just learning these skills, I think, creates that kind of change.
Yeah.
Going to just go back again to the chat box. We have a question here from Balu Srinivasan. Can someone doing undergraduation join Stoa in parallel?
Yeah, Balu, I think you can apply to, our team will let you know. I think if you're final year, especially, you can probably join it, like if you can manage time. But yeah, I would recommend just apply on the website, and our team will, they will do like an interview, and also I would recommend that, for more, specific feedback for your situation.
Amazing. We also have a question here from Khyati. With most startups, the critical piece is to be able to create trust with its customer base. How did you do that while being a new player in the education space? Great question.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a great question. So thanks a lot. I would tell you two things. One, I think even when I worked in Swiggy earlier, and when I was living, and we had this concept of being very customer-centric, customer-focused. Okay, and I'm telling you, this is back in 2014, 2015, wherein food delivery was a very different industry back in the day. So I think, we did it pretty much, kept the customer in mind and did whatever it takes, to fulfill the customer promise, whether it's delivering in 30 minutes, whether it is, refunding for a wrong order, whether, whatever the issue was there. So I had this mindset, and then further, and then after that, when I went to US, I could see what customer centricity means, from certain brands, especially Amazon. Like, when I had a bad experience in US and Amazon, it was the response was quite crazy. And some of in the hospitality, then I realized, brands that talk about customer centricity are pretty much highly customer centric. And through my working in consulting and startups, I did realize that customer experience does become a differentiating factor. And even at Stoa, honestly, I'm very proud of the team that we have, right? Like, we're extremely, the way we deal with all our stakeholders. So I think it's a fantastic team. And honestly, once I joined the coaching program, I learned something, in a coaching session, for example, if I'm a coach, I'm coaching you, it's all about you. It's not about me, right? Like, my job is to enable, a space for you to discuss whatever you want. So even at Stoa, right, one of my learners has a certain issue. I'm also able to apply that kind of framework with them, right? Saying, no, hey, like, I think I should solve the problem for you, and not for me. So, of course, as an institution, we draw certain lines, boundaries, but this really helps us, be very focused upon our learners. And in general, I think customer experience is a key in today's world. if you really want to build a company. And a customer can be anybody, it's not just the end consumer. It's like whoever is kind of paying you money, or whoever is transacting with you.
We have another question from Mukund that's slightly more coaching oriented, but I'll read it out. With mentorship, very often it's an organic way of developing the relationship between the mentee and the mentor. With coaching, how does an individual find the right coach, since it feels more transactional, at least when making the choice of picking the coach?
Yeah, cool. That's a good question. So in coaching, you have this concept called chemistry session, right? If you've heard of it. And I think, so typically, for example, if I want to get coached, right, first I do like a short call with a coach of my choice. And then we see whether we are aligned on the process and what kind of outcomes we want to work upon. And if you're not aligned, then you don't move forward. But once you're aligned, you kind of move forward. I think in coaching, it is what I learned in Coacharya is there are two rules, right? One rule is you as a client, you want to be coached. As long as you go in the mindset and you're being very honest and transparent, you will gain value from the coaching session. Second is, as a coach, you should have the mindset of coaching anybody who comes to you saying, look, I want to get coached. I think as long as these two stakeholders have this mutual respect and mutual commitment, it works. Now, to the point about, let's say, if there are 5 coaches, and how do you choose a coach? Again, that also really depends upon you, right? So at Stoa, we have this situation quite often. We have multiple coaches, but it's difficult to explain here. But we figured out an innovative chemistry session wherein everyone gets to speak to all the coaches in a short period of time. And yeah, that really helps them choose whom they want as a coach before making the commitment.
So Manoj, we've discussed a lot about the different things that happen in the Stoa program, the unique aspects of the program. When you look at all that you guys have achieved, what are some of the things that you feel extremely proud of?
Yeah, I think a few things. We're very proud of a few things. One is I think we've impacted many lives, right? I think almost 1,000 lives so far, and I've personally been part of some crazy transformation journeys. People who've been in one industry, they have no idea what to do in life. They're fully stuck. They have like 3-month notice periods, but being able to work with them, give them the confidence, and then really help them transition into a whole different world. Let's say from Infosys to like a Web3 crypto space, or from like a very small marketing agency to to a brand marketing team, in a very upcoming, very hot popular startup. So being part of many such journeys, which is quite fulfilling. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me. Secondly, also the kind of team that we built, it's been 2.5 years. We had a good team. So it's also nice to be working with those people. And largely, I think we've kept growing, in our own way, because we're not one of those like venture-backed startups where just raising funding and you're burning cash. So we've been very frugal the way we run, and not. So yeah, I think these are 3 of the things that I feel I think I'm reasonably proud about. And just looking back in the mirror.
And I think I'm just thinking as a third person, I think it's very inspiring to see that there are people who want to create that dent in the system, right? Which is not just by bringing in something that just supports the current need, but at the same time is asking everybody to question, right? Which is whatever I'm, let's say if I'm enrolling for a regular MBA, is that good enough? If I'm doing a particular kind of a job, is that what I really want to do? So I think that aspect of really questioning, asking, and looking within and understanding what is it that you really need is something that I think I am seeing come out through this program. So this sounds very, very interesting. For our audience that's here with us today, any specific questions, any comments, anything that's coming up for you? Would love to hear from you on anything that's standing out to you in the approach that Manoj and his team is bringing in at Stoa. It would be great to hear your thoughts as well, or any questions that you have. So I think if we do hear from somebody, then we'll definitely take those questions up. So one question that was on my mind with regards to generally education has been around this aspect of skills that are transferable. Like I do look at coaching as a transferable skill, because I feel it's like you said a while back, right? Like it's something that the client learns, and then you actually can pick up those skills and apply them to your life in any situation that you are in. So with the Stoa MBA program, like what are some of those transferable skills that you think across any sector they're relevant? If you could touch
Yeah.
upon that.
No, I think I keep talking about this quite often, my coaching calls or mentoring calls. In fact, I even spoken a podcast on the same topic last month. So I think in today's world, jobs are changing, the business models are changing. So that doesn't, but still, people to solve those problems. So it doesn't mean that, you need a whole set of, like a whole different person to solve it. A lot of people have relevant skills and experiences, which can be transferred. So I would categorize them under soft skills and hard skills. Like soft skills include things like critical thinking, ability to work with people, manage people, work in a team, and like open communication, like setting culture. So these things I think are highly transferable. On the hard skills, of course, when if you learn to use certain tools, it can be as simple as Microsoft Excel, or it can be like whatever new tools are coming up these days in different fields in marketing, product sales. It again, because these are basically skills and also mindsets that you can transfer to different areas. And if you can do it in one company very well, you can obviously as long as you are aligned with the cultures, the company goals, then we can also pretty much apply those there. So yeah, I think these are kind of transferable skills, and I think many people do have them. I think people just fail to maybe not be aware that they have this transferable skills in a way.
Yeah, maybe they've not actually had certain situations where they've had to very explicitly kind of apply those skills, right? And then when you're put in those situations, you're probably not 100% sure if you're going about it the right way or not, or if you actually have that skill or not. So, Manoj, would you be able to share maybe one or two stories of some learners who have probably gone through the STOA program and with whom you've probably seen like a huge transformation when how they joined, like when they joined the program to when they were leaving the program, or maybe even later?
Yeah, I think like I said, just mentioned the story briefly. This is one guy, let's say he was in Infosys at the 3-month notice period. In fact, he took like a pay cut in Infosys just to join a different team, and he was not happy with the money or the role. And then he realized there's not much scope there, but he was stuck, right? And you can't just quit your job because you're in the middle of the pandemic and things are uncertain. But then after having a few mentoring calls with him, I was able to help him understand that his skills are highly relevant in certain types of jobs and industries, and he had no idea about it, right? And still to work with him on making his resume and all these things, and gradually he he switched to like a fast growing company, and from there he became so confident. Then he started working on another idea in the process, and then he even quit the job to start up something. So I think that was quite a transformative journey. And there have been more such similar journeys, I would say. People stuck in traditional jobs, and within 6 months of Stoa, they're able to transition into very interesting roles in startups. So there are quite a few such similar stories, I would say. There's also one very interesting story. There are also a couple more, I would say, on a different kind of wherein people have probably there are many folks that say they're trying to be like a solo founder, or they work in their family business, but they don't have the right support, or they don't know what to do. So I think they've gained tremendous knowledge from the program, and also they've built a network, which gave them the confidence to either exit the family business program because they've been controlled there, and then figure out a new career path, or they've learned okay, this is what it takes to build my own business, and they're able to apply those learnings. So these are some of the ways I would say. There are many more stories actually that were difficult to cover. I know I keep hearing that once two alumni hired a couple others because of some referrals and some networking events. So all these things keep happening in the back end that even we don't have a lot of visibility into.
What about the faculty? Manoj, you said that you have industry experts coming in. So like what kind of brainstorming and discussions actually go down in the background, right? To get, certain courses ready. Like how do you go about that? And how has their experience been? Like what have you heard about faculty, about them being a part of STOA?
Yeah, I think we've been very lucky to have these kind of top industry operators to come and spend their valuable time and experiences with our learners. We never thought we would be in this position when we started off. In the first couple of months, we had zero idea. Like, why would somebody come and teach, right? But I think we've been able to create that need, and I think their experience has been largely good. Many of them, in fact, yesterday I received one message, saying, I want to teach more. Many people keep applying to teachers to many of them are on waitlist. But I mean, right now we already, because we have existing instructors continuing, so we've been very happy to have be in the position of our instructors continuing. But these faculty members, they also want to give back to the community in a way. And I think STOA team gives a very structured way, and it's also very like a privileged position to give back. So because it's very impactful, and they also keep getting quite a few thank you messages on LinkedIn or Twitter from our learners after the session. So that way, I think it is they're quite happy, and we have a very, very strong team which works with industry operators to to onboard them and to make sure they're having a fun experience.
Talking about fun, it was really nice to hear from you on the word fun, right? Like, I think that is something that is so crucial to learning. And if facilitators, I think, are having a good time, I'm sure they create that for the students as well. So, Manoj, with so much uncertainty right now within the corporate space, with so many discussions also on, let's say, wellness and mental health being important, how are some of these important industry trends a part of the STOA program?
Can you just explain the question? Sorry, I didn't fully understand.
Yeah, sorry. So I was just saying that like with so many changes that keep happening within the corporate space, and like, let's say if there's a trend of layoffs going on, or there's uncertainty around with people who are part of students who are part of the program, how does STOA kind of prepare them to take on this uncertainty? Because this is something which is cyclical in certain ways, right? Like once you're in the system, it's not that you're not going to be a part of it, right? So is there something that STOA does to help with these kind of ambiguous and uncertain times?
Yeah. Unfortunately, these things keep happening. So I think for those who are actively part of the program, right? I think they do find a lot of value through the networks, through the classes, and all. So I think they're able to keep, they're able to upskill themselves, constantly. So I think that is how they would engage. But what I notice is quite a few alumni, unfortunately, not quite a few, I think like a few, maybe a handful of cases, I've heard anecdotally they were laid off by the companies. But luckily, the community really helped them, in terms of, let's say, some of them went on trips together, some of them kind of, they're able to just, hire, when somebody say, hey, I'm looking out for opportunities, on our community channels. Somebody reply back, say, hey, we are hiring for this, apply, right? So I think the community aspect really comes into play. And like I said, many of these stories are something that I'm not even aware about, but I keep hearing after 2-3 months after they happen, that, hey, you know what, that person, whatever, they lost their job and they were hired by another member. So that way the community really helps.
Right. So, Manoj, we're just about 5 minutes more for the webinar today, and wanted to hear from you on where do you see STOA in the next couple of years? What's your vision for STOA?
Yeah, I think last 2.5 years we've taken our time to make sure we are doing things right. So it's been a slow and steady growth for us. I want to continue that. Maybe launch some newer programs, or expand what we're currently doing. So those are the plans for us. I know I'm saying it a bit vaguely, but Yeah, I think we know that we are able to create impact, and we have quite a few stories, and we're creating impact in different ways. So I just want to continue doing it. There's a massive need for people to not quit their job, or and but to upskill, learn what's latest out there. So I think there's a lot of relevance there, and we want to scale our impact to to more people.
So for our participants who are here today, like what's a message you'd like to leave them with regards to your work at Stoa, or with regards to coaching, like any piece of advice, anything from your experience?
I don't know, I think it'll be very vague and generic, but I think through coaching, through entrepreneurship, I've learned that nobody has answers to everything, or it's actually okay to be in certain situations, not so happy situations in life, but it's just okay to just be aware of that, and just keep moving forward. Yeah, I think comes a lot about self-awareness, and what are you at peace with in life. So I don't know if it makes sense, but this is my takeaway, I would say, in the last couple of years.
No, definitely makes sense. And I think it's a journey that we are all on ultimately, right? So I think it's just about taking that step and then seeing what emerges, and then taking the next step forward from there. But thank you so much, Manoj, for this interesting conversation today, and got to learn so much from you on how you approach your work and how coaching has influenced the program at Stoa in certain ways, and how you tackle challenges that come your way. And really appreciate you taking the time out. And once again, I apologize for the technical glitch, and to the audience as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. We hope to see you next Wednesday, the same time. As we are closing out, just want to share with all of you a little bit about a few upcoming programs that we have at Coacharya this month. Many of you might have received our email as well. So we have 3 coaching foundation courses coming up. Yamini has shared details about those. So we have Life Coaching Foundation. We have one on ontology. Actually, that's the one that Manoj also was a part of with Drevan. And we have one on neuro-linguistic programming. If you're already a coach and you want to advance your career and move to level 2, we also have an advanced coaching course with Ujjwal. So Yamini shared the details on the chat box, and if you want to know more, you can write to us at support@coacharya.com. And happy again to have had you here today, Manoj. Thanks again for joining in, and we'll close off. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye-bye.